Finalizing.com, and today we are going to do a Christmas wreath. Yes, can you believe it is that time again? It's amazing. Every year we say at this time, I can't believe it's this time of year, because it always seems to go so quickly from Christmas to Christmas, but that's where we are. And so today we are going to do a Deco mesh wreath, and it's going to be a little bit different than any that I've ever done before. I am going to be using some different materials than I've used before, at least one different material than I've ever shown you before. I did want to mention under TexasSky.com, don't forget to go by and check out the website. There are tons and tons of things on there, lots of DIY, lots of crafts. A link party that I'm a host of. If you don't know what a link party is, it's where bloggers from across really the country and even the world come together. They post their latest creations, inspiration, ideas, and it's all in one place. So it's a super place to go to just get a clearinghouse of ideas. Ours is Friday Favorites Linky Party, and the link is on my website under TexasSky.com. There'll be a link right here for you to click, and it'll take you there. So check that out. There are lots of things. The majority of things that I do on the website, I don't do videos for, so you will never see them if you don't go to the website and check them out. So I encourage you to do that. Today we are going to be working with Deco mesh, like I said, but I'm also using a window pane mesh. Now I did a Thanksgiving wreath or a fall wreath recently where I used something similar to this, but it was a much tighter mesh, and it had a silver and gold thread running through it. So this is just a plain mesh, window pane mesh. I'm not sure, it looks kind of like a poly burlap. I'm not 100% sure what it's made of, but we're going to use this as the base of our wreath. So what we're going to have today, this is a 15-inch work wreath, which means it is 15 inches across. It will make a wreath that's probably 24 to 27 inches across, depending on your materials and the style of wreath that you do. This one's going to be combining the poof method, which is what you usually use, a 21-inch width of Deco mesh. And of course, it doesn't usually look like this. It usually looks like this with a regular Deco mesh that's just exactly like it looks in the 10-inch rolls. We're doing that as our base, the poof method, and then I'm going to do ruffles. So I'm using 2 rolls of 10-inch mesh also, and this is a traditional mesh. It's a premium or deluxe mesh, so you can see that it's a very tight weave. You can see through it. Really the goal, or not the goal, your goal is to make a beautiful wreath, but one of the things that's important is that you can't see through it. You don't want to see the wreath form behind your mesh, so that's a really important thing to try to keep in mind. Certainly you'll see it behind this. That's why we're going to go ahead and do a combination of the poof method and the ruffle method. I've got lots of Christmas embellishments. This isn't everything. I've got them in a big box. We are going to be using a variety of ribbons that are going to go in the twists. The more things you put in this, the more beautiful it's going to be. There's really not a way to put too many things in your mesh wreath. It's just impossible to do. So let's get started. I'm going to do this in a traditional 21-inch Deco mesh style. So I'm going to gather up the end. This is, and honestly, another thing, this is kind of rustic. This is clearly not rustic. So I've never done this before. We are just actually winging it on this. I don't know how it's going to turn out. Y'all are going to just come along with me, and we're going to see how it works out. Now the rules that I'm showing you right now, they apply no matter if you're using this mesh or any other kind of 21-inch mesh. So what you're going to do, I start on the outer ring. There's no rule that says you have to do that. I just prefer to start on the outer ring. I'm going to put my mesh into this first twist, and I'm just going to give it one good twist where it's going to hold it tight, but I'm not tightening all the way down because I'm going to put other things in there. And I'm going to tuck this inside. And then I'm going to make, and I always measure this out. I don't ever wing my measurements. You need a good ruler, and so a long ruler, as a matter of fact. So I always measure, and I'm going to do a 15-inch poof. So I measure out to 15 inches, and I gather it, and I'm going to unroll it as I go, and then I'm going to come to the next twist. And this is really weird stuff to do. Okay, so I'm going to come to this next twist. I'm going to open it up. I'm going to put my mesh in there and give it a twist. And you can see this is clearly see-through. I'm going to kind of pull it out. Fine. And I'm going to do my next twist. And I talk a lot in my videos about your cutting mat when you're working at your kitchen table, or even if you have a craft table like I have, you want to protect it. And so I have a cutting mat that I work from, so if hot glue gets spilled on it or if I'm cutting on it, I don't worry about it. It's meant to take the punishment that crafting gives it. And so be sure and have a nice cutting mat that you're working from so you protect your surface. A couple of other things, have a good pair of scissors. You want to have scissors that cut really well. And okay, I'm going to try to, boy, this is really, y'all can see the trouble I'm going through. You can make a determination whether or not y'all want to use this type of mesh, because it is sort of unruly. Okay, there we go. Okay, there's the second one. And again, I'm doing 15 inches for each one. Okay. Actually, this is probably going to look really cute as the base once you get going. We're going to measure out another 15 inches. Another thing, as far as your supplies and materials.
Let's show where you're measuring 15 from, your starting point.
My starting point on the 15 inches is at the base of the twist, and then I'm just measuring up 15 inches, then gathering there. That's my faithful assistant, lovingly known as the mean man. He's really not mean, but that's what we call him. Also, as far as your supplies go, it's really good if you've got a supply of various sizes of twist ties. Twist ties are your best friend. They are wonderful for attaching things to the frame of your wreath. So I just have a couple of containers of all different sizes of twist ties. Your hot glue is important. I don't use a hot glue gun. Okay, I'm going to measure up to 15. I use a glue pot. I don't know if, and this is my fancy schmancy mixer. It's a stem off of a silk flower that I used. But I use a glue pot with glue pellets. To me, it holds a little bit better. It lasts better in extreme temperatures, and of course we're under a Texas sky and we have some pretty hot temps, and I've never had my hot glue on a wreath that I hang on my door, and when it gets direct sun in the morning, I've never had my glue let go like it melts, because this melts at a very high temperature. Also, as far as the glue pot goes, if you were interested in doing and using one, protect the surface that it's sitting on. It gets very, very hot. The first day I used it, I set it directly on the cutting mat and it melted it underneath it. So I ended up grabbing a ceramic tile that was used when our floors went in our new house, and I set it on that tile, which is perfect protection. It doesn't get so hot that anything happens to your surface underneath, but it definitely protects it, and you definitely need something like that. Don't just set it on your tabletop. Don't just set it on your cutting mat, because it absolutely will melt it. And that's, yeah, you don't want to ruin your surfaces. I'm just continuing around, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take just a break. I'm going to go ahead and get all the way around until we go to the inner ring, and then I'll show you how we get into the inner ring. I'm not going to bore you with watching me fill in all of these twists. There are 18 twists on these wreaths, so there's a lot of twists to fill. So I'm going to continue doing that, and I'll be right back. Okay, now I have gotten back to my very first twist that I started with, and I went ahead and I put this poof into that very same twist that I started this poof with. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my mesh and I'm going to come to the nearest twist on the inner ring, and I'm going to flatten it out. Make sure I'm okay. I'm going to flatten it out, and I'm going to put this into the very first twist. And I'm not making a poof or anything. I'm just, it's flat. I'm going to show you, I'll show you in just a second. And I just twisted it in. So maybe you can see here. Here's the outer ring where I finished. Flat straight across to the inner ring. And then I'm going to start doing my poofs going around just like I did on the outer ring. So I'm going to go ahead and measure out my 15 inches. And really, I think this is looking really kind of cool. It's going to be pretty. It's not as red as I think that it should be. It looks a little hot pink to me, but it definitely says red on the label. I ordered this. The place, I get this question all the time where I order my supplies, and there's a website called craftoutlet.com, and I also have a place where I can buy things wholesale, but quite frankly, craftoutlet.com comes very close to the wholesale price. Plus, they offer free shipping if you order like $69 or something, and then they also give you points when you shop, and those points add up to dollars off on your next orders. If you want to use it, you can save them up, or you can use your points for dollars off. I do not work for Craft Outlet. They're not an affiliate of mine. I don't get any money if you go to Craft Outlet, and I certainly don't guarantee anything from Craft Outlet. It's just a supplier that I like, and I use them, and the question does come up quite a bit, and so there's the answer to that question if you're wondering where I get my supplies. And I do like it because they offer a variety of mesh, from basic Deco mesh to the premium mesh, the deluxe. Clearly they have this window pane mesh. They've got other types of embellishments and things like that. I generally don't order those from them because honestly, you can go to Hobby Lobby, Michael's, or Joann and get them the very same kinds of things a little bit cheaper because they offer great coupons, and they'll offer 50% off, holiday items and 40% off. So, I mean, I usually get my embellishments just from the local craft stores. And as I'm going, you'll see I'm kind of pulling this apart so it's not bunched up. It's getting kind of tight here in the middle. This is just a really unusual material to work with, but don't give up if you're using it, because I think we're really gonna like the way that it looks at the end. It's gonna be kind of funky and cute. So again, I'm going to continue. You can see I'm just the same thing. I'm putting them in every single twist, and I've got a few more. I don't want to bore y'all with watching me put them in all of them. So I'm going to continue on doing this. I'm going to ask the mean man to go ahead and pause, and then we'll be back in just a second. I'll have everything done, and we'll show you the next step. Okay, now I've done the very last twist, and so I'm just going to take a length of the mesh, and I'm going to cut it off so I can shove it inside the wreath frame where you can't see it. And then you can use some twist ties to tie that down. You can see I barely had any of this left. This really isn't good for much of anything. As bad as I hate to, throw any leftover materials away, I'll just end up throwing that away because it's really not useful for anything. And you can see here I'm pulling that tail through here. And I'll zip tie that down when we clean up the back. I always tell people don't worry so much about the back of your wreath. that's not seen, and so it's not anything to get overly worried about. But you can see that already is super cute. So it's going to be a great background. Like I said, I'm disappointed in the color because it really looks hot pink. I don't know how our embellishments are, our other mesh is going to look in it because that does look hot pink. But really the point is for y'all to see how it's done. White might have been a better choice, but who knew? I'm going to set this aside just a second. We're going to do ruffles now. Now this is a different kind of wreath. A ruffle wreath is actually my favorite type of wreath to make. It's a little bit easier to me. Using the 21-inch rolls gets a little difficult trying to keep all of the poofs uniform and round and full and pretty without them kind of flattening out. But that's okay. They make beautiful wreaths, don't get me wrong, and tons of the wreaths on underatexassky.com. I've got a gallery there where you can see wreaths for Easter and Christmas and Halloween and fall. There's a whole ton of examples of the work that I've done. Tons of those are regular, start out with a 21-inch mesh. Now I'm going to show you how, excuse me, we do ruffles. I like to cut them more than one at a time, just for time's sake. That wreath form that I'm using has 18 twists. In this case, since I'm not making a specific ruffle wreath where that's all that's in it, I'm going to put 2 ruffles in each twist. Normally I would put 3, but I'm going to put 2 since we already have the background that we've got. On a regular ruffle wreath, I usually will cut my ruffles in 10-inch lengths because I want to get the most out of the rolls that I can. On this wreath, I'm cutting them 12 inches. You can cut them however long you want to give a fullness of your ruffle, but just remember you only have 10 yards. And so the longer you make your ruffles cuts, the more of the mesh it's going to use. So you want to be mindful of that because you want to get the most mileage. Under normal circumstances, I can do 2 ruffle wreaths out of a roll if I do 3 rolls. But I just stack the rolls on top of each other. You can see here how that's done. And then another reason for a cutting mat, it's because it's got a ruler on it, and I like to use a rotary cutter when I'm cutting my mesh. It will revolutionize your life, I'm telling you. You can just cut so much faster with this. And so I'm going to show you my last cut. So I'm on 28, 18, so 16 would be 12 inches. Boom. I mean, that's just as easy as it is, and I cut 2 ruffles. And then I'm going to show you how to make your ruffles. Let's go ahead and pull the wreath back up. And again, I'm going to put 2 ruffles in every twist. And so what I'm going to do is on some of them, I'll put the solid green on the bottom and the stripe on the top, and then the one next to that I'll put the stripe on the bottom and the green on the top, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. I'm going to start with the first one. This is so big, I hope that you can see what I'm doing. Okay, to make the ruffle, you just lay your mesh that you have cut down flat where it curls to the bottom, because you want that shape when you do your ruffles. And you're just going to gather up in the middle, just going to pinch it, pinch it, pinch it, pinch it to the middle. And you see it looks like a little bow tie, a little butterfly, whatever. What I'm going to do is I'm going to open this twist up because I still have several ribbons to put in here. If you don't open your twist back up, you're going to run out of room if you just put it on top of the twist that's there. So I've opened that twist, and I'm going to go ahead and put this in and just give it one twist. I'm not twisting it in tight because I've got another ruffle to go on top of that. So you see how that is? Then I'm going to go ahead, and normally what I would do is I'd do my bottom layer and then I'd come in and do the top layer, but I'm only using 2 colors, so I know how things are going to go. So I'm going to go ahead, I don't know if you can see that, I'm sorry, moving to the other side, and I'm going to pinch, pinch, pinch in the middle, all the way. That's really cute, get my little bow tie. I love this stripe mesh, it's very pretty. I'm hung on the snowman. Sorry, snowman. Okay, I just heard that my dog just came in the house and I knew he would start barking. That is Maximus Prime, and he's just a very barky dog, and I apologize for that. You've probably heard him in the background. If you watch any of my videos, you know that Max is always making noise. So, there. You see the two colors together. The green is on the bottom, the stripe is on the top. And I'm going to come to the very next mesh, the next twist. And I'm going to do the same thing, but this time I'm going to put the stripe on the bottom and I'm going to put the solid on top. And there's really no way to do those both at the same time. You have to make your ruffle, put it in, and then make the next ruffle. You see here, I don't know, man, I guess you can't really see that. I'm opening the twist back up and I'm knocking stuff off my table. And I'm going to just squish this down in here as I'm pulling stuff off the table. Give it one twist, and I kind of go ahead, you're still falling. I kind of go ahead and I curl it to the back, because that's the natural way that it wants to go. And y'all going to have to trust me on this as I make this next twist, this next ribbon, ruffle. And you're going to have some strings. That's the nature of Deco mesh. You see these little strings? You just get strings. And the only way to remedy that at the end, you go back and you clip them off. It's no big deal. So y'all can see here. So now, again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and go all the way around the wreath. I'm going to try to not, it's an odd number, so it's likely that I'll wind up with two of the same pattern next to each other. It's going to be okay because we're going to put ribbons on top of that as well. But I'm going to go ahead and continue that on all the twists with the two ruffles in each one of the two alternating colors on top, and we'll be back in just a second. Okay, now I've got all of the ruffles inserted to every twist, 2 ruffles per twist. I don't know about y'all, but I think this looks absolutely amazing. I had no idea it was going to be so cute. And so the next layer, and of course when you're doing these wreaths, it really is about layering. Whether it's a straight up ruffle wreath or whatever it is, it really is about doing layers. You start off with your base, then you just keep adding to it. The next layer we have is our ribbons. And so I've already pre-cut our ribbons. And then you make a decision if you want ribbons in every single twist, if you want certain ribbons in every single twist, which is what I decided to do. I'm going to do these in every single twist, and these in every single twist. And then these I'm going to put in every other twist, I think. And then I'm also going to put these in every other twist. So the twist that these aren't in, these will go in. I did want to show you how I cut my ribbon. I cut these to 13-inch lengths. A lot of people use 15-inch lengths, but then again, you have to remember, the longer your ribbons, the more ribbon you're going to use. Ribbon can be expensive. I always try to buy mine, and I do, again, I order from craftoutlet.com because their ribbons, by and large, come in 10-yard rolls. That's a lot of ribbon. You can get a lot of mileage out of that ribbon. So that's what I do, but I cut this to 13 inches long. And then the little dovetails that we do here, I'm going to show you how we do that. It's the easiest thing. You're just going to take your ribbon and fold it in half, where you kind of match up the ends. And then you're going to fold those ends in half. See how that's done? And then you're going to take your scissors and you're going to cut a diagonal cut from the folded side down to the open side. So, can you see what I'm doing? You see that? I'm just going to cut down, boom. Well, I did a terrible job on that. I didn't do a very good job of doing that. I'm going to make that one end more pointed. It's squared off. That's an important thing. You want to go all the way to the wire. There we go. And now you can see I've got the dovetails on each end. You do it both at the same time, which makes it great. So what we're going to do now is we're going to come in and we're going to open the twist back up. Now I got to tell you, this window pane mesh is thick. And then when you put 2 ruffles in it, it's getting pretty tight in each one of these twists. There's not just a whole lot of room left, but I think we can get the ribbons in there. At least 2 of the ribbons I think we can get in there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to stack the ribbons on top of each other. Then I'm just going to kind of mush them up in the middle. Once I get them in the twist, you can separate them out, but I'm going to do it 2 at a time. So I'm opening this twist. I'm putting these in here, which is a tight fit, giving them a twist, and then kind of pulling on them to separate them out. See how that looks? And the beauty part of the wreath form, somebody has asked me before, what do I do with the twist? Do I try to hide them? No, I don't. They're cute. They look like they go in the wreath. It's just another element of the wreath. I do not try to hide them. I go ahead and leave them where they can be seen, and really, honestly, you won't even notice them by the time it's all said and done. They just kind of blend into the wreath. So I'm going to do my next one. I'm going to pinch it in the middle. I'm going to go to the next, and I put the red on top this time. Green's on top last time. I'm going to come to the next twist. I'm going to open it up. I'm going to cram this down in there. Give it a couple of twists, and then kind of spread it out. And you're going to continue to do that. I mean, this is really, it is a totally repetitive thing. You're going to continue to do that around your wreath and every single twist. And this part of it comes down to your personal preference. How much stuff do you want in your wreath? Do you know, if you don't want this many ribbons in there, there's nothing that says you have to. You start doing what you think looks best. And really, honestly, how much of the materials can you afford? You can still do things and make them look really beautiful with fewer elements in them. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to show you where we are right now, and then I'm going to cut away for just a second. Here's where we are. So I've got them in 3. I'm going to go ahead and put them in all of the twists, and then I'm going to go ahead and putting some embellishments in, and I'll show you how we did that when we get back. Okay, now I've gotten all of the ribbons in. You can see I've gone ahead and added this Merry Christmas. This was just a hanging Merry Christmas. There's a string that's on the top of it. I just crammed through the mesh and zip tied it on the back, which I'll show you in just a second. I added some snowflakes and a few little ornaments. I'm just going to show you how I added these ornaments in. These I did just hot glue in, and I just dab them in the glue and then just stick them in. Of course, I can't really see. I'm at a little bit of a disadvantage here. Let's go ahead and I can put one. And that's what I do like about this glue. You just stick it in there and then stick it in the area that you want your embellishment to go. Got this little Christmas package, same thing. Just going to dip the corner of it in the glue and put it right up in there. I thought I had another package to make it even, which I don't see, but I do. I know I do have. And then and always, step back. I have this wreath hanger. I think I ordered this on Amazon, but I do believe that Hobby Lobby carries those in the store. For the snowflakes, I just dip the end, and these are just ornaments, like boxes of ornaments that you can get. And then just stick it in where I want it to go, and it sticks immediately. You can see I didn't use all these other ribbons. I'll have these for another project. I thought that there was enough in here as it was. Again, I used the 21-inch window pane mesh. Let me look at this one last time before I turn it back around. I think that's pretty fantastic. I still have other things I can add, pine cones, but just for the sake of showing you, I will show you how I zip tied. You'll see I used 2 zip ties. The first one it held the sign, the string for the sign, but the sign was hanging too low, and because of that, I wanted to pull it up a little bit, so I added another zip tie a little further over, and then did it tight, and it pulled the sign on up. Now, when you do, y'all know how I feel about attaching things to wreaths. It's like the bane of my existence. It's so hard to get it good. When you do that, it pulls up the top. The bottom was sticking out. So you can see here there's a little bit of floral wire. I just took some floral wire, wrapped it around that letter, pulled it through, and I twisted it around one of the twist ties. The floral wire will allow you to do that, and that pulled the sign down to where it's not sticking out at the bottom because I had tightened it at the top. So, okay, again, the 21-inch window pane mesh, I put these in 15-inch poofs, I measured out 15 inches. I might have taken that down to 13 now that I look at the finished product with the ruffles, but I think it works okay. The ruffles, I used 2 rolls of 10-inch mesh cut into 12-inch lengths, gathered them up in the middle and made them into little butterflies, put 2 of them in, and then I alternated the colors all the way around. I used 2.5-inch ribbon, this is 2.5 inches wide, 2 different types cut to 13-inch lengths and dovetailed on the end. I put those in every single twist, just alternated the colors on each one. And then I just started adding my embellishments. These were not hard to add because they were just all glue in. I didn't have to zip tie any of them in. I had other things, we thought about maybe the snowman in the middle, lots of different things. Really, you're only limited by your imagination. But that's the finished product. You were able to go with this, through this with me just as I was experiencing it. I had no idea how it was going to turn out. But just don't be afraid. If you think you've got a good idea for something, go for it. You'll be amazed at what you can create if you just let your imagination take over. Don't be hard on yourself. Don't compare your work to others. Just do the best that you can. Create something beautiful that you love. That's all that matters. That somebody else's opinion does not matter. I hope you try this. Don't forget to go to underatexassky.com, and also don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. There's a button to click over here that you can subscribe to my YouTube channel as well. And so when I do a new video, you'll be notified. You'll know that it's out there. I really appreciate everyone's support. If you have any questions, I answer questions all the time. I am thrilled when people send me their wreaths that they've made from the tutorials. I cannot tell you how that blesses and encourages me to know that you guys are actually enjoying what I'm doing and you're getting something from it. I hope that it's inspiring you to try. Just try, and you'll be surprised at what you could do. That's going to be all for today. This is a Christmas wreath. I hope you guys have a wonderful holiday season. And until the next time, blessings to you.